Have you ever wondered why some people constantly feel the need to show themselves off? They share their achievements, flaunt expensive things, and highlight whatever they think will impress others. It's as if every post they make is a silent cry, "Look, I exist." But why? Maybe there's a void inside. Maybe they're trying to fill that emptiness with likes, comments, and compliments. But that kind of fulfillment is temporary. It never truly satisfies because the validation isn't real. It's not for you, it's for the image you present. It likes the mask, not the soul beneath it. The Stoic philosophers said, if you feel the need to constantly prove yourself, maybe it's because you fear the silence within. Inner stillness, if you haven't embraced it, can seem terrifying. But it's in that silence that you discover your real strength. True power is what remains even when you say nothing. Even when you're silent, you still are. A quiet person is a confident person. They don't seek approval from outside, because they've already approved of themselves. Who you are isn't defined by what others think. It's defined by the values that live inside you. If you also want to discover your inner strength and live without needing to prove yourself to anyone, you're in the right place. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more topics like this. Ready? Let's dive in. Showing off is often just a way of covering up inner uncertainty and lack of self-belief by saying I exist through the eyes of others. In truth, luxury cars, brand name clothes, and always talking about your achievements. These are often just silent pleas. See me, approve of me. This isn't just about ego, it's about approval hunger. But why are so many people drawn to self-promotion? Because society teaches us to show, not to be. From childhood, we're fed unspoken rules. If you can do it, prove it. If you succeed, talk about it. If you look good, show it. Over time, this becomes a habit, as if value only exists when it's visible. And in our modern world, social media amplifies this need. People showcase lives they don't actually live. They post peace they don't actually feel. Because now, being real isn't enough. You have to appear real. And to appear real, we often end up creating versions of ourselves that aren't true. This only deepens the disconnect between who we are and who we pretend to be. In such a world, simply staying silent takes courage. Because silence today is often mistaken for weakness. But Stoics show us the opposite. Real strength is felt in silence. It doesn't shout, it just is. The foundation of true strength is not someone's applause, but your own conscience saying you're on the right path. Stoic philosophers were clear and uncompromising. If you seek your worth in someone else's eyes, you haven't yet discovered your true value. As Epictetus said perfectly, if you're searching for your value in the approval of others, you still don't know who you are. To the Stoics, real power is silent. It doesn't need applause. The urge to constantly prove yourself is a symptom of a deep, persistent fear. I'm not enough. It's that fear that eats at you in silence, pushing you to keep talking, keep proving, keep showing. But true freedom begins the moment you are at peace with yourself. The moment you stop needing others' approval. This isn't about vanity or pride. It's about being at home in your own existence. It's saying, even in silence, I am enough. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. And remember, living for validation is like living in a prison. There's always a door, but the key is in someone else's hand. But if you learn to unlock that door from the inside, no praise can control you, and no criticism can shake you. For the Stoic philosophers, showing off wasn't just a social behavior. It was a reflection of one's inner state. They understood that the more someone feels the need to show, the less inner peace they likely possess. That's why for the Stoics, the key question was not what do others see, but who am I on the inside? The Stoics believed that a person must learn to be self-sufficient. Depending on external validation is a form of bondage. Each time you say, like me, notice me, I'm here, you surrender yourself to the approval of others. In truth, those people are taking away your freedom. The moment you seek validation from the outside, an emptiness begins to form within. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, Doing something for the sake of praise is slavery for the free soul. And at the heart of this is a critical question. Who are you living your life for? Your own ideal or someone else's applause? The Stoics said, as you mold yourself to please others, you drift further from your true nature. You stop being yourself. You become a mask, a projection of who you want others to think you are. And that mask doesn't bring peace. It brings constant stress, tension, and fear, because deep down you're afraid of losing it. What happens if one day you don't have the same opportunities? If the praise stops? If people no longer see you? You begin to feel like you disappear. That is a dangerous psychological dependency. And it is exactly this dependency the Stoics rejected. Epictetus put it bluntly. If you're delighted by praise, you'll also be afraid of criticism. That is the slavery of the soul. So if you want to be free, neither praise should lift you up, nor criticism bring you down. You must know yourself. You must understand why you do what you do. If you've achieved success, what matters is not to show it off, but to live it. To the Stoics, actions must be done for yourself. If you do good, do it without expecting a reward. If you succeed, stay quiet and keep walking your path, because showing off is the voice of inner weakness. Here's another interesting point. The Stoics often look to nature as their teacher. The sun rises, flowers bloom, oceans move, but none of them do it to get attention or approval. They simply live according to their nature, and because of that, everything falls into place. Humans too must live the same way. To be yourself, to act in line with your true nature. This is not only the purest form of freedom, but also the deepest form of strength. Seneca said, if you live with a calm and steady spirit, then no one can either validate you or shake you. To live this way, one thing is essential. You must know yourself not through others' eyes, but through your own conscience. Though conscience is silent, it is the most honest mirror. And once it approves of you, you no longer need validation from the outside. Why is showing off harmful? Let's now take a deeper look at this question. At first glance, showing off might seem like a sign of success. People often think, let them see me. Let me prove who I am. My achievements should be known, but the psychological and social harms hiding beneath this behavior are often overlooked. Stoic philosophy doesn't only offer a spiritual perspective here, it reveals a deeply practical truth. Showing off weakens you, it poisons relationships, and it creates deep inner unrest. Let's unpack this further. When showing off makes you appear weak, people often feel more than you think. When you emphasize your achievements, highlight your wealth, titles, or status, your audience doesn't always feel impressed. Instead, they may sense a lack of security, a need for approval, and a void you're trying to fill. Rather than seeing you as powerful, they may perceive you as anxious and insecure. According to Stoicism, true strength is quiet. It's not about display, and it's about inner certainty. And each time you show off, you unconsciously send the message, I still need to be validated. This can damage your image and reputation. People may stop admiring you and start seeing you as a competitor. Or worse, start feeling envious too. It breeds jealousy and competition. By constantly showcasing your life, you may unintentionally create a competitive environment where others feel inferior or challenged. This leads to strained relationships, hidden envy, and distrust, all of which rob you of peace. People who constantly show off often create an unnatural social tension around them without even realizing it. Every time you highlight your superiority, some may see you as a source of motivation, but many will quietly begin to see you as a threat. This creates jealousy, passive aggression, and hidden competition. People who once felt close to you start to distance themselves, criticize you, or quietly build invisible walls between you. The saddest part? You often don't even understand why those relationships have changed. But the reason is simple. Showing off creates silent hostility. The Stoics believed that genuine human connection is built on simplicity and humility. Someone who constantly tries to shine breaks that foundation, because their behavior can make others feel less than. And when people feel small around you, they'll eventually turn against you. 3. Showing off destroys inner balance. Showing off is essentially a mask. A person tries to appear smarter, more successful, happier, or more confident than they actually are. But when this artificial image doesn't align with their inner reality, a tension starts to grow inside. Eventually, the person becomes a prisoner of their own performance. They feel the need to constantly share new accomplishments, maintain an ideal image, and keep chasing applause. This creates psychological dependency. You can no longer be natural. You feel like you must be seen, must perform, must keep showing more. And at some point, the you inside and the you outside become completely different people. This inner split leads to anxiety, self-doubt, emotional exhaustion, and even depression. The Stoics warned strongly against this danger. They advised, be yourself, show less, live more, stay quiet, go deep. So while showing off may bring short-term satisfaction, it harms you in the long run. It makes you appear weak, feel isolated, and emotionally unsettled, and you surrounded by hidden rivals. The Stoics offered the opposite. Strength in silence, influence in humility, and depth in simplicity. To them, real power meant self-mastery, not self-promotion. It meant being internally calm and grounded, without needing applause or recognition. Because a person's greatest battle is not with the world, it's with themselves. And the more you feel the need to show off, the less peace you've made with the voice inside. Being silent, knowing your worth within, and not needing outside approval. These are not just behaviors. They are signs of inner freedom and spiritual maturity, because at that point you no longer rely on someone else's like to feel complete. You know who you are, and that knowing makes you unshakable. Seneca captured this beautifully. Live humbly, for there is great power in silence. This silence isn't just about not speaking. It's a state of inner balance, stability, and self-awareness. You no longer measure your value by how others see you, but by your own conscience. And in that space, even without owning everything, you feel whole. That is the foundation of Stoic philosophy. To be free and strong, you don't need to show anything. If you are truly valuable, your actions, intentions, and way of life will reflect that. But the moment you try to display that value, you begin to damage its purity. The Stoics often compared a person to the sea. The waves on the surface are loud and restless, but the depths are always calm. True humanity lives in that depth. No amount of applause can replace the quiet of a clear conscience. That's why Stoics aim to live simple, quiet, and modest lives. For them, victory wasn't defeating the crowd, it was conquering the self. They knew being silent doesn't mean being weak. It means being brave enough to face yourself. And that level of courage is rare. How can you be free from the need for validation? The constant desire to show yourself and seek approval slowly wears out the soul. But the Stoics had shown a way out of this state centuries ago. Their core principle was simple. Don't focus on how others see you. Focus on how well you know yourself. This is the first step toward freedom from the need for validation. Let's look at the Stoic path to this inner freedom. 1. Define your worth from within. The key to breaking free from validation is to determine your value internally. The people who praise you today may go silent tomorrow, but if your worth is tied to their reactions, you'll always stand on shaky ground. The Stoics said, if you elevate yourself through applause, then criticism will destroy you. So measure your value only by your conscience. Ask yourself, does this action align with my principles? If the answer is yes, that's enough. 2. Learn to succeed without showing it. This builds powerful inner balance. To the Stoics, the greatest victories were the ones no one saw, but the individual felt deeply within. You don't need someone to say, look how well they did, in order for something to be done well. Epictetus said, if you behave well only to receive praise, you're not good, you just want to be liked. This mindset sets you free. You're no longer waiting for others to react. You simply walk your path, quietly and confidently. Spend time in silence with yourself. Even for a few minutes a day, disconnect. Put your phone away. Don't post, don't share, don't talk. Just feel. Listen to your inner dialogue. Why did I want to share this success today? Why do I feel like posting this status? If no one saw this, would I still do it? These questions can be uncomfortable, but the answers free you. Because in those answers, your real self is waiting. The craving for constant attention, applause, and visibility is a sign of an inner feeling of inadequacy. The Stoics warned, "Those who cannot be content with little will never be happy with much." Replace external voices with inner beliefs. Tell yourself, "I'm valuable just as I am. I have nothing to prove to anyone. My worth shines even in silence." This way of thinking will raise the quality of your life. You'll step out of the games of social comparison and find a deeper strength in stillness. 5. Compare yourself only to your past self. If you want to grow, let your only competition be who you were yesterday. Looking at others and thinking, "They're ahead of me," only throws you into the race for validation, a race the Stoics refuse to enter. Because that race has no finish line. Seneca said, "Do not look at another's path. Your own journey follows the map of your soul." If you know your path, you no longer need to put on a show. You just walk it, calmly, confidently, freely. Freedom from validation is the return of the soul. The Stoics teach us that true freedom begins the moment you no longer need to prove your worth to anyone. This freedom is quiet but deep, simple but powerful, and you can claim it simply by choosing silence. Showing off aligns with neither Stoic philosophy nor real inner strength. Because if you truly have value, you don't need to prove it. Your presence, your calm, your quiet strength, that's more than enough. The greatest display is power without display. The loudest voice is the confidence hidden in silence. The strongest person is the one who doesn't need to prove their strength to anyone. Because the need to show something always comes from the fear of losing it. But when you're truly sure of yourself, there's nothing you need to show. You simply are, calm, steady, unshakable. The greatest lesson we learn from the Stoics is this: if you are strong within, no one can shake you. You can influence without showing off. You can speak without speaking. Because true power exists simply in your presence. And remember, the moment you free yourself from the need to show off, you begin to find yourself. Return to your inner stillness. There is a depth waiting for you there. And in that depth, the less you display, the more power you hold. If you're walking this path, if you seek to discover your inner strength, to free yourself from validation, and to experience the power of silence, then you're in the right place. If you enjoyed this video, please share your thoughts in the comments and help spread this philosophy by sharing it with others. And of course, subscribe to the channel, because here it's not the noise of display, but the voice of inner stability that awaits you.